Hey, what's up guys? Again, this is continuing the series for first-time homebuyers in 2026. As promised from the last video, we're going to look at some houses that fall closer to the low to mid 200s and high 200s on the top end. These houses can still be 3-bedroom, maybe 2-bath, but will give a better entry level for a single income household, allowing for home ownership this year. Now we're going to again be looking at the Raleigh market, as it is pretty varied with prices and differences in areas within I'd say 10 to 20 mile radius. So not a large radius, but very different pricing. Again, we're going to review what we're looking for in these houses, what to analyze, what to look out for, and hopefully how to get some better deals than what's listed. All right, if you're ready, let's follow along and check out the site. All right guys, we're back on Zillow and we're going to narrow down the area again and select for the options that we want to narrow the category down. So I already have the screen up here. Again, the filters I'm using, I'm going to take away auctions and foreclosures. I have this starting at 750 minimum square feet. We have houses, any number of bedrooms, a cap at 305. That narrowed us down to 38 results, which we're showing here. And here we are on the map. So I have quite a few on. Let's take a look at them. All right, this first property has a nice sized lot, half an acre, built in 76, single family residence, 1214, 32. This is listed at 250,000 square feet. It's been on the market a little over 2 months. Number of views, number of saves, most likely due to the price point. Looking at the description, nothing in the description say anything about the house that could be negative. The house last sold in 2002, so the owners have had this for quite a bit. That means there's quite a bit of equity in there. This is interesting. We have the tax assessment coming in at $297. It's not often that you see a house listed, especially well under the tax assessment. Let's jump into the pictures. As we can see, there's quite a bit of space, double wide garage. Interior is much nicer than I was anticipating. Good countertops, good kitchen, carpet needs to be changed. A little bit of TLC needed, get a mirror up there. From the photos, I'm not immediately seeing anything necessarily wrong with this property. That's an excellent price point. Let's go ahead and see where it is on the map. It is in southern Raleigh, southeast that is. This would be a property that I'd be interested in taking a look at. For sure, you'd want to give the agent a call. It looks like the price is very competitive as it is. Maybe we can squeeze that down a bit. Again, I recommend just going straight to the seller's agent. You can give them a call here instead of hitting contact agent. Again, hitting contact agent is going to put you in touch with another agent that will be looking to represent you, the buyer. In that case, the seller is going to have to pay 2 sets of commissions. This could be anywhere from 2 to 3%. In this case, that would be roughly a little over $4,000 to over $6,000 in commissions. So if you can work with the seller's agent and be a self-represented buyer, we can already knock about $5,000 to $6,000 off that asking price, and that would be no harm to the seller. They'd probably be more willing to get this done in a quicker amount of time. Moving on. Next property, we're looking at 250, 10,000 square foot lot. Typical for this price range, 3-bed, 1-bath, 1,000 square feet. Built in 79, so this was built in a similar time. Zestimate has this just a bit over. Nothing jumping out in the description. New HVAC in 2021. And the seller is willing to entertain offers for a 3-package deal. This has, again, quite a number of views, number of saves. This has only been on the market 8 days. So that would mean that this might not be able to be a competitive type of offer, that if you're looking to knock it down a bit. Let's see. The property was last sold in 04, listed for sale at 250, and that was back in December. So this is actually going on a month and a half old. If you came in at 240, I think that'd be reasonable, depending on what work the current owner has done and what situation they're in. Again, this is why it's good to talk to the seller's agent, get this information firsthand. They're usually willing to work with you, and you can get a feel for the property. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pictures. It's very nice on the outside, very clean interior. Yeah, this is a perfect rental property or a very nice first-time home buyer with a single income. And then when you're looking to upgrade, you can keep this in your portfolio. Yeah, I'd say this is pretty good for the area. Nice backyard, bunch of trees. You gotta be careful if these trees are too close to the property, they cause damage to the roof. So this one right here looks like it's probably that, which is right over the roof. So you got to keep an eye on that. That'll mean you need to do more maintenance on the roof, cleaning. Maybe you want to cut those branches down, help yourself out. But yeah, this is a pretty good property at 240. Let's take a look at exactly what area we're in. Now again, when you're looking at these areas, you want to check out the school zone. You want to check what similar properties might have sold for more recently. And if you're next to any major highways, this could be good, this could be bad, it depends. A lot of things will affect the market and your appreciation. Now, it's very easy to just get on Google Maps and use a street view, as we can do here. We'll take a look real quick and actually see how the street looks. So this right here, to me, that's a red flag. That could be a problem with selling, as where you have a multifamily, or could be apartment complex, whatever you'd consider that. You might have more people loitering, more cars coming and going at different times of the day and evening. The street looks to be typical residential street. Doesn't look to be a bad street at all. Yeah, so again here, the only issue I'm seeing is the proximity to this multifamily single level apartment complex. That could be a deal breaker for some people. Personally, I'd be putting up a fence on the property line. Looks to be about here, if you could see the groove, to have sufficient privacy, as your backyard and your front yard are basically right there. Now that will come to personal preference. Looking at these school areas. School areas always have to be verified. Sometimes they'll just list whatever school might be in the closest area. So, okay. So This has a 10 out of 10 rating for the middle school, a 9 out of 10 for the high school. That is excellent. This is definitely a target neighborhood if that's correct. So I would verify that, but for the school area, this would be excellent if you are looking to start a family, if you are a young couple or any couple with children, or if you want to rent this in the future. All of these are positives. All right, moving on. We'll go ahead and save that. So this right here is listed a little higher for $265, similar square foot. Built in 1953, so we are approaching, what, 70 plus, going on 80 years old. No matter what level of renovation was done, you're gonna have issues. This is definitely something you want to walk through. This is a 2-bed, 1-bath, 835 square foot property. It is smaller than the other two that we've looked at. The estimate is closer to the asking price down here. Nothing jumps out immediately at me. It says it's been on the market 4 days. Not high views, not high saves. So it doesn't look to be getting great traffic, which would make the negotiating terms a little more in the buyer's favor here. Again, we have the listed by information here. You can contact them directly. Take a quick look at the neighborhood. We'll see where we're at. Okay, this is getting closer to Raleigh downtown. So this is probably the higher price point. Now, maybe you don't want to be downtown. Maybe you don't want to be that close to the highway, as this is right close to 401 and 40. Going down, let's see. This sold last in 2011 and hasn't sold since. So that would mean there is a number of equity in this property. Again, this only puts terms in your favor. If there is not high interest in the property, there's room to negotiate the price. Going down to the school zones, we got an 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. School zones are definitely a hit. Those are very good grades for gradeschools.org. If you are looking for a property and you're new to the area, I do recommend using gradeschools.org. I think it's an excellent resource if you have children and you're trying to gauge how the neighborhoods are. Typically in a 5 or above neighborhood, you're probably looking at less crime, less break-ins, and on a better area to raise a family, more suburban, if that's what you're looking for. This has been my experience. I worked in residential alarm for a number of years, 15, 20 years, and gradeschools.org, it was kind of like a grade on the neighborhood that the house was in. So the higher the number, the better. Keep that in mind. If you're not familiar with the area, it's usually a no-fail method to figure it out. Okay, and again, this was recently listed, so it's only been on the market for 4 days as of this recording. We're in January 2026. I'm not sure this would pique my interest, but let's go ahead and take a look. Looks fairly clean. I don't like these tile floors in the kitchen. That's just personal preference. Strange transition from the... Oh no, there's a rug. Okay, never mind. So this floor actually might be original. This is interesting flooring in here. So this room might have been converted, as it looks like it could have been a patio area, but it might just be how it's decorated. Or maybe that's a rug. I think that's a rug. I am wrong. It happens. I'm not worried about it. So I don't have any major red flags coming up on this. Just neat little property. A little higher than I'd want to pay for it, but that's just, again, personal preference. If this neighborhood and price range works good for you. Again, same rules apply. If you can knock maybe 3% off of that asking price if you contact the seller's agent directly. All right, we're gonna get through this. We have a number of properties left, and I saved a interesting property for last, and I'll let you know once we get there. We'll start moving through these a little quicker. So now we're up to 280, depending on the area. The last houses I reviewed were larger homes, 1,400 square feet and above, and they were already in the 290s. I'm just coming straight down to the neighborhood at this point. Okay, now we're directly in, close to downtown Raleigh. So if you want to be closer to the downtown area, you're paying for it. This last sold in 01. This was listed in November. So it's been on the market for a few months already. They've already dropped the price, 10 grand. In this case, we're gonna wanna look at comparables. Again, Raleigh is a market that saw very quick growth and didn't have a lot of price stabilization. So over the last year and a half, I would say that the price of that area is stabilizing, but it's still a great area. A lot of job opportunities, good schools, good neighbors. Now coming down, again, we're in a good school area, excellent schools, 8, 7, 7, all great ones. Let's go ahead and just dive straight into the pictures. Take a look at this property. Has nice curb appeal. Deck might need some work. Fence could use some buffering. Okay, so actually there's not a lot of pictures of this property. Looks like the interior is gonna need some work, and that might be why. So you'd have to take a look at this, get in touch with the agent, check the comparables. To check comparables, we'll look at that real quick on this listing, as this does seem to be a higher price for the area. It is a newer build, 96, with a 1/4 acre square lot. His estimate is fairly close to asking. So what we'll do here, I'm gonna walk you through looking for comps. So this was a 3-2, around 1,000 square feet at 280, built in 96, and 26 acres. So we're gonna back out of here. There we go, 279. I already have some other properties saved around the area. Okay, looking for this property again. Okay, sorry about that. It is here at 280. So similar price points in the neighboring properties. This was a house that I had taken a look at previously, 1,400 square feet. So the price range is very different for all these properties. Let's go ahead and just take a look at sold. So looking at the sold, coming straight down to the area, we'll leave this. Say we'll look at this pocket here. We're going to change this to newest. Properties recently sold. We have this one last. So last sale we have in the immediate area was back at the end of October, and that was for 290. We have one for 300 in September, 243. So if I'm looking for a similar property, this looks to be a similar floor plan, but much bigger. And this sold for 245. Let's take a look at this one for 290. So for 290 at the end of October, we have a, looks to be very clean property, freshly updated. Granite countertops looks like, new appliances. Yeah, this is super clean, much smaller. Nice deck. So this is a very clean property. Now again, the one we were looking at was listed for $280. This could justify that comp, as this is similar, 0.3 acres. Now this was built in '53, where I believe the last one we looked at was built in '96. Should be the same school zones, different school zones, William Martin, Underwood, but again, high rated schools. So jumping back over here and going to for sale. I think 280 is a good price point for this. Again, this is where I'm probably gonna call the seller's agent, have a talk with them, and try to go see the property, or maybe send an inspector or handyman out there to take a look for me. In this case, it's not my cup of tea, but it depends where you're wanting to be. Moving on, we have another property for $280. This is a 4.2, 1,300 square feet. It's in an HOA, much smaller lot, built in 2018, so brand new build. This has been on the market going on 2 months, 2,000 views, 60 saves. So let's take a look at the area. Looks like we're a little further out. We're not directly in the downtown area. Again, this is where you're going to want to look at comps. This was last sold in 2018 and listed at the end of November. School areas, not as good as the last school areas. So the middle school is good, but I'd want to dive into that data. This school rating is based on usually testing. So this is where you want to jump in, check out the neighborhood, look at the comps. Zillow does give you nearby homes here. I do recommend doing your own deep dive, as Zillow is usually not going to pull up the most recent houses in the immediate area. Again, you want to look for similar houses. It has to be similar floor plan, the year that it was built, the amount of beds, bathrooms. Pay attention to the upgrades, this makes a difference. And of course, how close it is. And from there, you can kind of work out where the price is going for these areas. Now, I'm going to quickly go through the next ones. Over here, we're back at that 280 price point. Up here, we're again 280. Over here, we're at 290. So as you can see, this one's at 305. We can take a look at this and see why it's listed higher. And that was with a $10,000 price cut, apparently. This is at about 300 as well. And we'll actually jump straight to this one. This one's under contract. Now, this actually just went into pending status the other day. I was a little slow to get this video done, and this went pending while I was making the video. Now, this is listed at $300,000. It's a 3.2, 1,300 square feet. So this is in that kind of mid-range. No HOA. It's a small lot on close to 8,000 square feet. Close to Zestimate. This was on the market, it says 17 days. We'll take a look at that, see if it's accurate. So no, it's not. Okay, so coming down here, this was last sold in July of 2025 for $195,000. That tells me right there, this house was a flip. So it took 2 months for them to get, less than 2 months for them to get it back on the market, and they came in at a whopping $325. Since then, that was at the beginning of September, we've only come down $25,000 and we have a pending sale. Now, you could probably find pictures of this house how it was before online, looking at sites like Redfin. Usually what I'll do to try to find old pictures, I will just Google the address and see if I could find the old listing. Typically they're still up somewhere on the internet. So the average time on market, Google says that the average time on market in Raleigh is about a month to 40 days. I disagree with that, depending on what area you're looking in. This right here took them, looks like, this was listed in September, and this didn't go under contract until a couple of days ago. So again, the market's not moving super quick, but it does depend on the type of property you're looking for. So looking at similar properties, anywhere from 1,000 square feet, 3.2s, built in a range over 70, 80 years. Looks like your average price point for on the smaller home sides in Raleigh, close to the downtown area, you're probably going to fall somewhere between $250 and $300. If you have the room at the 300 side, I would recommend going a little bigger, as 1,500 square feet tends to be the average home size for, say, a family with maybe 2 or more children, even with 3.2s. Now, if you are a single income household and you're looking to just get into your first home and your price point's closer to $250, I do feel like there's a number of homes out there that you're able to maneuver and negotiate. Again, the market's in a recovery mode, and even though Zillow has forecast that the average price of homes may rise from 1% to 4%, I would tend to disagree with that. I think this market this year will be a stabilizing market, and maybe we'll see 1% or flat. Now, that all depends on how fast rates drop. Now, if we get a new Fed chair in May that is willing to drop those rates, you can bet that the market will see another boost. Either way, I think it's a good time to get into the market. Last year we saw a drop and negative. This year, even if we're flat, if you're ready to make that move, I definitely would approve. I'm at a loss for words. So anyway, the next video that we're going to do, I'm going to go over qualifying credit, what to do before you even start calling the seller's agent and trying to make offers. We want to make sure that you're in the position, a strong position, to do that in the first place. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.